Calling the meeting to order. It's 6:34 p.m. This is the Human Rights Committee. I'm going to read a script on remote public meeting to get us going. That sound right, Craig?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So
Should we all mute ourselves so that there's no feedback and stuff?
It's fine. I think you guys are okay. So in keeping with the ongoing emergency order from Governor Charlie Baker to limit gatherings and maximize social distancing, and under legislation passed to address remote board meetings during the emergency declaration, this meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will broadcast live and is being recorded on Easton Community Access Television. While the board members will be on video and audio, public participants will join the meeting muted and with no video feed from them. Public lines will be muted throughout the meeting to allow the board to conduct business and to eliminate any background noise. Members of the public participating in the Zoom meeting may submit a written question via text chat, provided that they include their full name and address to the public record. Members of the public viewing the meeting on eCat may also submit questions in writing via email to mblanchard@easton.ma.us. So now to ensure we have quorum, I'm going to go around and just have each of the board members state their names. Amy, you want to get us going?
Yes, Amy Gershman.
Michelle Durance.
Irene Dean.
Stephanie Kintab. Sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
Catherine Foster.
Stephanie Kintab.
Allison Archuli.
Craig Barger.
Excellent, thank you. All right, ready to call the meeting to order?
Yes, I move.
Motion to approve. Okay, Amy.
Yep.
Second, Kathy. All. Okay, thank you. All right. So the first item on the agenda is to review the meeting minutes from July. Any revisions to the minutes that Amy provided to the group? Okay, Amy, no amendments. Motion to approve the July minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Minutes have been approved. All right, we have a pretty good agenda going today, so let's get started. The first up is our listening session. Would someone from the kind of informal subcommittee want to give us an update on the activities around the listening session?
If anybody else wants to jump in, feel free, but I just shared notes back to the subcommittee today, so people haven't had a good look at it. Let me just find my notes and I will read through them and people can chime in. Sorry. So many things open on my computer. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
Okay, so we met and built on what we had discussed in the last meeting. We revised kind of the description to make it more of a panel, less of a public participation listening session. So a series of listening sessions that gives Easton residents and neighbors an opportunity to hear firsthand accounts of what's happening in our community, you know, having to do with intolerance and hate. The purpose is to acknowledge that intolerance is happening in our town, to give attendees an opportunity to hear and learn from people who have experienced this intolerance firsthand. That's just kind of like, it's very much in line with what we already discussed, but just written out. And then what we proposed for a schedule, sorry, this is the wrong document. Feeling very disorganized at the moment. Sorry. If anyone wants to jump in while I'm looking for the right one, let me know.
Well, Stephanie spoke to Kelly Lamb.
Yep.
I did. Yep. So I had spoken to her and Denise from RMK to try to see if they were interested in collaborating with our first listening session, which we thought we'd cover race. So they're very interested in it. They had they were planning prior to COVID doing the walking in my shoes. And so they felt like maybe they could try to incorporate something similar with that, with some of the speakers that they had lined up for that, just to be able to kind of bridge both of what we were looking for. So, so Kelly said that she's more than happy to help support it in any way. She can help moderate the listening session. She has a family as well as a young adult that would be willing to speak if we were interested. She kind of felt the same thing we had. We were coming up with maybe like an hour and a half for the listening session, maybe having like so many minutes per guest speaker, and then either looking to open it up for questions or have some guided questions or some moderated questions through the chat. So that's kind of what she had said, that she'd be more than happy. She thought the timeline for trying to do the end of August would be doable because she already had some people that were interested in doing the walking in my shoes. So that was the conversation, but they were more than happy. They also said that when they were looking at doing the walking in my shoes, they were including, I think, the Unity Church and the library. So if we wanted to collaborate with them too, she'd reach out with them if we wanted to open it up that far. But otherwise, she's more than happy to accommodate. So
I can jump in again, and I found the updated document with some of the other like bullet points that we agreed on. So sessions will happen once per quarter, the first being in the end of August. It's awesome that it works for the people we want to partner with too. First topic is racism, 60 to 90 minutes each session, depending on the size of the panel. Each session would include 3 or 4 speakers from within our community. Each speaker will have approximately 15, 20 minutes to speak. Sessions will happen by Zoom, hopefully. We figured that they would be run very similarly to how we run our committee meetings, where the public would be listening and could type in their questions or comments, and we would have to moderate them. Just maybe come up with some guidelines, and somebody would have to really facilitate that part of it. Committee will curate and distribute questions to the panelists prior to the session. So we were thinking that we would try to, as a committee, come up with some really pointed questions to ask them. This was really quick, but some examples are like, just one, start out sharing their experience. And then we had discussed kind of having an educational component to it. So something like, what tactics did you use to respond or cope with the situation? What can the community do to help you feel more supported? What are the correct channels to report similar incidents? So maybe some questions that are going to give some new information to people listening in and kind of serve that secondary purpose of education on whatever topic it is. Any questions or feedback so far?
One of the things that we were talking about was whether we have people register ahead of time or they can just drop in. And I don't know if you talked to Kelly about that, but they probably had a plan, Stephanie.
yeah, she had used Eventbrite and I think she'd probably be able to do that as well. She said that like she has a Zoom forum that can go up to 100 people, but if it needed to be more than that, if we had a bigger turnout, we might have to look at some other type of Zoom forum. But
Yeah, we'd have more than 100.
You think we would have more than 100?
No, I don't.
No, me neither. Okay. Maybe. Some of the other people we talked about, we kind of brainstormed ourselves, and then Stephanie reached out to Kelly, but we had talked about Ruth Bluestone's daughter Hannah, I know that in the last meeting, Aliki said that she had a friend who lives in Easton that might be willing to speak. The family that that we talked about who has recently moved out of Easton, the incident that Officer Badud shared, and then even having like Kelly herself or somebody else from the RMK organization.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention around the Easton family is I'm hearing that it's an active kind of police investigation at this time. So we probably would want to hold off on their participation at this point. We just wouldn't want to impede on any investigation that's going on today. Definitely think that if we can start to think about which speakers we would have that would have absolute interest and kind of confirmed interest in participation, I think that would be great. It sounds like you guys have done a lot of research here, and absolutely, I think the collaboration with RMK would be great because they, I think, hosted a very similar kind of discussion or forum for just recently with the book club, and then with the 13th, I think they did that one as well. So I think they have some at least understanding the technology and being able to have that guided, moderated conversation. I was getting a little nervous. I did attend the Mass Coalition of Human Rights Committees yesterday, which I will definitely kind of provide a little bit more update on when we get to other action items. But one thing was they did speak about these listening sessions that they've been having throughout their town or throughout different towns. And one particular town, I think it was Arlington, had mentioned that the conversations were very challenging. What they said was it's very difficult and uncomfortable for folks to be able to speak up on pretty challenging topics, which I think we all recognize. So I think it's really important that our speakers and folks that are committing to be on the panel are really comfortable with that type of forum. But I also think that they also shared that it's very important to have a strong moderator and facilitator for the session, because sometimes the conversations could get somewhat difficult. There may be questions that, and I think this is where the recommendation for utilizing the form that we have in place today, chatting, to be able to submit questions and review them and give that opportunity for us to potentially kind of think about which questions we bring forward and which ones we maybe save for later. But that was definitely some of the feedback that they provided around their using of the listening sessions. So what Arlington has decided is that they're going to hold off on any additional sessions at this point, and instead they're actually going to move forward with some training efforts on how to handle difficult conversations before they pursue their next phase of these forums, listening forums. But they did mention that they're all have been recorded and available online. So if we were interested in kind of maybe even a little bit more understanding of how this might flow, and maybe kind of gathering some best practices or improvement opportunities, it would be a good research to conduct. So it was the Arlington Human Rights Committee, I believe, that was speaking at yesterday's meeting.
So, Karen, then do you think that we should hold off, or do you think we should think about who is a good moderator? Like, how would you apply what you learned about Arlington to our situation to help us make decisions?
Yeah, I think maybe first starting off with moderation, the moderator facilitator piece, I think would be really important. So I heard maybe Stephanie mentioned that Kelly Lamb is interested in being able to do that for us. We may want to, just kind of confirm that interest and also think of a backup, right? Because if, it's always good to have a backup. So if there's another person that is interested and has kind of that skill set, even within our committee, let's, kind of document that and just have a conversation and ensure that we have that kind of commitment.
I think if we're gonna go with the RMK, the next step would be for us to have a meeting with Kelly, because I think they already had this idea of exactly what they're going to do. And, I think we'll have to negotiate how, what we're looking for and what they're looking for and put it together.
Okay.
So through the book discussion, I've been in the book discussion group with Cheryl. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she's also with
Cheryl Sklar.
Yes. So she's also with RMK, and she's an amazing facilitator. She does a really great job. And then there's another lady that was a great facilitator. Her name is Jennifer.
Hardly or Hardy, something like that.
Yes.
Harding, something like that,
Yes.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just attended the book discussion yesterday, and I thought she did an awesome job facilitating the book discussion. So those two women are great backups.
That's awesome.
Kelly is amazing
Yeah,
too.
when I'd emailed Kelly, I'd emailed Ruth and Cheryl on the same
Mhm.
email, and they both said that they're any way that they could be helpful for it. They're more than happy to participate too. So we could, I think Kathy's right. Maybe the next step is trying to see if our smaller subcommittee can meet with at least Kelly and maybe Denise from RMK, and then kind of just going through. I know she has at least two interested speakers. She put me on a CC for an email, so I have those names that we could rely on, but we would need to come up with some other ones too. So I think that makes sense to kind of further brainstorm with them if we're going to move forward with it.
Excellent.
An item. Can I just ask I don't know, just getting opinions, but I love the idea of partnering with RMK. The only thing is that their organization covers like part of our mission, right? The race issue. So is that okay? I think it's fine because, you know, they're amazing, but like in the future, we want to broaden the topics. Does everybody agree that that's fine? And when we get there, we'll just see if they're still interested in partnering and moderating, or if we need to, you know, look at other options.
I think like this first one, we'll do it with them. We'll learn a lot about it. And then moving forward, we may or may not partner based upon the topic and what they're doing and what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent point, is that, you know, we're so fortunate to have the RMK being able to spearhead a lot of these initiatives, focus on race and discrimination. But you're right, our greater cause has a lot more kind of oversight or focus. And so, you know, as we kind of proceed, we can start to think about maybe even, you know, amongst ourselves to kind of think about, you know, if we wanted to pursue moderation or facilitation type of training, that, you know, and if anybody has a particular interest in it, or that's, you know, a specific skill set that we have, then, you know, we can try and document that as well. Hi, cat.
Nice cat.
All right.
Amy, a
Excellent.
quick question, Amy. You said the end of August. Is that enough time to do all the things that you want to do, including publicize the sessions that you're talking about?
I'm not sure, and I'm not married to any of it. That was kind of just our goal. So I think as a follow-up, if we meet with RMK and see kind of like, you know, talk about what work needs to happen between now and then. They have a huge network for publicity. So if they commit to it, you know, soon, I'm sure they could get the word out pretty quickly. But yeah, I agree with you, Craig. I think we have to meet with them and see what they're up for and who's willing to do the work.
Right
Kelly,
now,
yeah.
both Karen and I were part of a discussion the other night with RMK regarding what's happening with the Black Lives Matter signs in town. And I don't know whether that focus is important for the listening session more than the family that's no longer in Easton as an initial response to what's happening. I'm only throwing that out as something for people to discuss, but it was pretty disconcerting to hear the number of signs that have been stolen.
So I'm a victim. I put up the Hate Has No Home 12 months ago in my front yard. I put up the We Believe. 3 days later, both signs are gone.
I've had the Hate Has No Home sign up for a year, and it's sitting in my front yard.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying, Kathy. I think that there were something in the vicinity of 30 signs in 15 or 16 sites that were stolen. So I mean, I think they're focused on that right now. I don't know whether that should be part of the first listening session or whether that's completely separate.
Yeah, so
Well,
maybe
certainly
that's something
we
the
could bring up.
subcommittee.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
so just for this particular topic, and just because Amy's gracious enough to do the meeting minutes, the action item here is the subcommittee will follow up with RMK, discuss timing, and whether or not this is something that can happen in the month of August, or if September is more feasible, and kind of confirm moderators as well as panelists and discussion topics. Does that sound about right, Amy?
Yeah, that sounds good. We had a couple more bullet points if you just want me to read through the rest of the notes. We thought like this was more like business for the committee, but we thought like a news subcommittee could be in charge each quarter. We would welcome community members to participate in planning and helping facilitate. It just felt like this time, I know there were some people on the last meeting that were interested in helping out, but we just were crunched for time. We tried to define some of the roles for the meetings, like we would need 1 or 2 moderators. We would need a designated person to monitor the questions that were asked. We would probably need a technical point person to troubleshoot any tech issues. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else in my notes that I wanted to share. I think that was about it.
So if we did this by the end of August, it would be before our next meeting. So I guess, is the board comfortable with us moving forward with RMK?
Should we vote on it, Craig?
Kathy, I'm sorry, I didn't catch what.
We're not going to meet again before, if we actually pull this off by the end of August, we won't meet again. I just wanted to make sure that the board approves our ability to go ahead and initiate this and carry through, implement with RMK.
So are you talking about just implementing a meeting or implementing the actual listening session?
The actual listening session.
I was thinking that we would need to go into September in order to be able to have enough time. And it also would allow us to have a discussion at our next meeting in order to make sure that we're on board with what we're doing. That's only my thought on that.
I don't know the answer about the timing. Just as a quick side note to help us decide, when we get to the training part, Liza, the person who ran that training that I keep saying great things about, offered to do a training for us in September. And we had talked about not having 2 big things happening around the same time too. So I don't know if we want to factor that into our decision making too.
Yeah, I mean, so I do think we can consider voting tonight on having the subcommittee be able to move this forward, as long as our group here, the committee, has an opportunity to kind of raise any potential concerns, any topics that we want to make sure are in consideration in the decision-making process as the group kind of proceeds to go forward. Only because if we are thinking about an August timeframe and we are anticipating the RMK having already done some legwork on this effort, not to have them kind of hold up momentum, just from our kind of meeting logistic challenges I think that we have in place. So are there any concerns from the committee standpoint around any topics that we want to make sure is under consideration as we begin to move forward with planning?
Maybe it's a good time for me to say that our synagogue, Chai Shalom, is having a speaker series on racial inequities. And actually there are 2 dates that the chair has established. One is August 19th and one is August 25th. I'll
Okay.
get more, I'll get more details, because I would hate to be in competition with RMK and with HRC. But I would want to reach out to the chair of that committee to find out who, number one, I can't remember the name of the speaker, but to find out if it's actually the 19th or the 25th, or they were just setting up some dates and wondering whether people were interested in participating. But I certainly can do that in the next day or so and let Amy know, so that we don't conflict.
It's one date or the other?
I'm not sure, Kathy. It may be that they were throwing out dates and they said, okay, the 19th or the 25th, but I'm not part of the group. So I just made a note of it tonight before this meeting, and I will check back and let Amy know, so that if the subcommittee is in fact empowered to go on with the process with RMK, that you'll know what dates for sure there would be some competition per se.
Yeah, no, that's really great to know. I wouldn't want to be competing for people's time.
And that will be open to the public too, Craig?
That's another thing I'm going to find out, Kathy, is
Okay.
how, I mean, we have the Zoom capacity for 100. And so, we're pretty comfortable that that's going to be enough to handle and the hordes of people who want to participate. But I will certainly ask about that. And they may want to do it so that people who want to be in would have to be invited in. And that way we wouldn't have anybody Zoom bombing in an inappropriate way, which always makes me uncomfortable with that potential idea.
Okay, that's a great point, Craig. Any other considerations that the group wants the subcommittee to be aware of? Okay, so should we vote on approving the subcommittee to move forward with working with RMK for implementation of the listening forum?
Yes.
Moved.
We say yes?
So moved. So
Okay, second.
All
Mhm.
those in favor? Okay.
I just was given some additional information on the speaker series. So Amy, I might have to call you, Amy. There are two virtual conversations to address current racial injustices and equity. The guest speaker is Billy Planner, founder of Edgar 36, a political and social justice program focused on educating and inspiring thoughtful change. Each conversation is between 60 and 90 minutes and includes time for question and answers, and it's a Zoom thing. So it's both days, Kathy, in terms of your question.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Craig, I'm not sure that I captured all of that perfectly, especially the name and the organization or anything. Can
I'll
you-
email it to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
You still have an action item, Craig. Okay. Anything else on the listening session before we move forward? Okay. Book discussion update. Who wanted to provide this update this month?
I can start and then Irene and Stephanie and anybody else can enter. So we've had the first 3 sessions. About 70 people signed up total. I think last night maybe they had, which was the 3rd session, they had, I think about 50 people were part of it. It was organized so we broke up into smaller groups and then even smaller groups and have discussions and then come back together. I think the feedback has been very positive. I think people have enjoyed it. People are getting a lot out of it. There was a question about whether the book was, there's been some negative press about this book, but I think for the purposes in a community like Easton, where the majority of the people are white, having people really concentrate on self-reflecting has been positive, and it's moving along. They're talking about having a 5th session, adding one on to work on role-playing situations so people are prepared when they're faced with any Blackness to sort of think about what kinds of strategies you have, what's in your tool belt to address that without becoming emotional or to try to deflate whatever emotions that the other person has, and then be able to have a productive conversation. Does anybody, Irene or Stephanie, or you guys want to add anything?
It's very well organized. Before we actually have the book discussion meeting, the moderators would send out book discussion questions for the attendees to read over and start thinking about the chapters in the book and the question, so everybody has something to share, or at least people get thinking about what to share in the meetings. So I really like that about it. The other thing is the groups are, the smaller groups tend to be around 8 to 10 people. So it's small enough where it's comfortable to share your experience and what you feel. Before we also started this, there was they emailed us an expectation, which I thought was really great, and they went over it and highlighted certain expectations. One of them being whatever you say in the Zoom meetings is confidential. Nobody should be taking pictures. Nobody should be taking notes. Whatever is being discussed in the meetings just stays within the group. And I thought that was really great to establish early on, just to get everybody comfortable. That's it.
Excellent. So the last series is going to be that role-playing piece, Kathy? Is that where it is at this
They
point?
haven't set that up. So the 4th meeting is
Okay.
next week, and that's to fit the last 3 chapters in the book. It's also to talk about, they're seeing this as a book series. So start talk about what the next book might be, and try to get some feedback from the participants. And then if people wanted, they're going to talk about potentially adding a 5th session on as role playing. That hasn't been finalized, I don't think.
I see.
But it's,
Excellent.
you know, it's been great. It's been a bit of work because we have quite a few meetings
Mm-hmm.
to
Yep.
prepare, to debrief, to prepare, to debrief. But it's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And I did see the article online. Did everybody get to see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So any kind of actions here except to continue to kind of keep this at the forefront and continue to help publicize?
I'd love to add that link to the website if everyone agrees. The article
Oh,
to our website.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, Amy.
It was in the enterprise, right?
No, it was what's the local?
It was like a wicked
sorry.
local.
The Eastern
Yeah.
Journal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to think of it. I couldn't think of it, but yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. The next agenda topic is the religious observance calendar update. Amy, do you have an update on that?
I do not. I admit I did not get to it, but I promise I will in the next week or so.
Okay. Well, you have a few extra weeks because school's not starting until September 16th now. So. Okay. Town-wide statement. Ally, do you want to take this one on or no? This is the pledge.
Yeah, so I gave Liz some edits, but that was the last that I heard. So I'm not actually really sure where we are on that.
Maybe Michelle, can you provide an update on where the school committee stands on the pledge that they plan to move forward with?
We've already voted ours in as
Okay.
our budget. I think that it's been forwarded to all you.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for other than
Well,
that.
can you take a step back? What's the idea? We're going to get everybody in town to sign something, or what? Or is it the committee that has this pledge, or what's the concept?
Right. So I think, Ally, were you going to speak? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, from what I understand, I think I was sort of looped in partway through, so I'm not sure I have the full picture, but from what I understand, it's a pledge that the town of Easton already has its own pledge that's related to this, but we as a committee wanted to create our own pledge. I don't know if it's separate from that pledge or sort of like an something that's added on to that pledge. But that's the background that I interpreted.
Craig, does the select board have a pledge?
We don't have a formal pledge. There are some items that at the beginning of after every election, we run through a bunch of things. But I don't think there's a specific pledge. I don't think I saw the pledge to the school committee.
Oh, I can resend it.
It's my myriad of emails that I haven't gotten to.
I can resend it to you.
Thank you.
And I can follow up with Liz and see where we are, and then I can share a status update with the full group.
Okay,
Did
that'd be
everyone
great,
else
Ellen.
get it? Is it just Craig?
I wouldn't mind a copy, Michelle, just in case.
Who is that?
Karen.
Karen? All right, I lost the picture while I'm trying to pull it up.
Can you send it to the whole group?
I'll send it to everyone. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Michelle.
Yes, you're welcome.
And so, so Liz did bring this forward. I think maybe it's the town of Plymouth ended up putting together a pledge, and it was being well circulated. It does seem as though we do have something maybe in our town of Easton handbook or something like that, that does have some sort of reference to protect and enhance a climate of acceptance and tolerance. But I think acceptance and tolerance, we want to kind of shift that focus a little bit more than just acceptance and tolerance. But so I think that's the opportunity here. I don't really think there's a signing of anything that needs to happen, Kathy. I think it's really something that we want published and kind of put out there on our site, and something that we can kind of rally behind.
All right, I just sent it.
Thank you.
If you don't
All
get
right,
it,
so
let me
Ally
know.
will follow up on this one.
Yep.
And we'll take that. Okay, perfect. So next is ally list development.
Right.
Kathy?
So I think we have 77 people on our ally list. And my goal is to triple that number in the coming year. And the first thing I did is I sent out to all my friends and said, would you like to join the ally list? And basically what it's going to mean is that periodically you'll get notified about human rights activities that we're sponsoring or that are in the town. And, I got an overwhelming, everybody said, sure. So I think that's one way we could start, if everybody could sort of tap into their community and see if they have friends that would be willing to join. Do people feel okay with that?
I love
Absolutely.
that. Can you share the language that you used with your friends?
Sure. Yep, I'll send it to you. The other thing I want to use the ally list is I think anytime we post something on our website or wherever, we should send a link of that to everybody on the ally list so that we continue to get more publicity about what we're doing and what the committee's about. What do people think about that?
I like that idea too. I usually am the person that updates the website, so I'm not always, I will make more of an effort to do it like at a regular cadence versus a need basis.
Yeah, but whenever we make a statement or something like that, I think we should share it as much as we can with everybody that at least sees themselves as an ally.
Mm-hmm.
So Catherine, if they want to get on that list, they reach out to you?
No, so if I guess probably the easiest way is if you ask your friends and they say yes, if you email me their names and their email address, and then I'll enter it onto the ally list.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking of like the Black Lives Matter website. or
Yeah.
Facebook group and stuff. I don't want to write down 200 names personally. So is there
Okay.
a different way to do it?
I wonder if we can have like an
Is there
online
like,
form or something. Like a
yeah,
Google form or spreadsheet.
I don't know. I have to enter each email individually.
but if we do it like a Google form, then it can be produced out into a spreadsheet, right?
But will that go into our ally list? Is the question.
I don't
No, you'll
know.
probably have to transfer it somehow to a master list, but it would be a good, efficient way to collect a lot of names.
Yeah.
If
Do you think people are comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think locally, yeah, I do.
Yep.
Let's give it a shot, maybe. If you share the language that you use, I can draft a Google form.
So you mean our website?
No, it would just be a link. We could just share a link our own personal network, and then they could just put their name and email address in. That's it. That's all we're asking for, right?
Yep, that's all we're asking. All right, I'll have to talk to you individually to figure out exactly what you want me to do.
And Amy, is there a way that people can add to it without seeing everybody else's?
Oh yeah, all they would be doing is typing in their name and their address in a form, and we would collect the data. Nobody else would see it.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Karen, it's like the school survey that went out.
Yep.
In a Google form, it's that type of thing. So you don't see what anyone else says. You just put in your information and it goes to a central spot that Amy would probably be the admin for. She could have Amy and Catherine.
Can help me. She's clearly more technologically advanced than I am.
Okay, I thought you meant Google Doc, so Google Form. Got it.
Same idea. It's 100% the same idea.
Okay.
Yep.
So actions here, Kathy's going to share the language she used to recruit her friends for the ally list with the rest of the committee. And then Amy and Kathy will work on creation of a Google form to capture ongoing support, because Kathy's planning to increase the list by 3 times before the end of the year, or within the next year, sorry. Okay. Excellent. Okay, we're on to other discussion items. So Craig did mention that we both joined a meeting on Sunday to discuss with RMK about the stolen signs. The initiative in place at this point is we're highly encouraging folks to report if signs are being stolen. Because I think when Liz reached out to our civil rights officer, he had actually said that there was only 2 reported incidents at that point. And based on yesterday's or Sunday's call, it sounds like there were over 20 or 30 that just from word of mouth and folks that we were hearing from had incidents, and some multiple incidents. I think one woman had mentioned her sign was stolen 4 times. So thankfully we have a very generous donor who is willing to pay for more signs, and will be looking to order additional Hate Has No Home signs, as well as I think there were 2 other ones, Black Lives Matters and another sign, the We Believe sign, right? So I do think that there is a plan to go ahead and procure additional signs for distribution. I think the last email that I sent on this, I was asking, I think it was Aliki who coordinated the sign ordering for us. Does that sound right? Okay. So the pricing, I think, may be just slightly off depending upon what vendor we choose. So we'll be finalizing that piece, at least providing that feedback, and then additional signs will be ordered, and we'll go from there.
We don't have any signs at all?
Sorry, Kathy?
We don't have any signs right now?
I don't have any. I think we had given up the last few to center school.
So I reported my sign stolen to the police, and they take a full report, and it's called a larceny, and they want to know if we suspect any neighbors or whatever. So it was an interesting conversation.
There were a number of people who were reluctant to report it until Sunday night, when people were offering support. Some people were saying, "I'll go with you to the police department if you want to help you present what happened," which I think made people feel a little bit more comfortable. But I think the bottom line was, if you have a sign and it's stolen, report it. Whether you call the police or you go down to the police station, report it, because it's important to have that on record.
Right, and you don't have to go down. All you have to do is call. And I ended up just leaving a message for Matt Padud, and then they called me back and took all the information.
Is there any way, should we make a statement on this? And then I would love, I would love a Black Lives Matter sign. I don't have one at my house right now. I wish we could counter this ridiculous signs, the stealing of the signs with 3 times as many signs out. How do we, kill them with kindness? Do they want help getting the word out other beyond just reporting incidents? Do we want to
It's interesting that you said that, Amy, because that's one of the conversations that occurred, that let's order more signs. Let's get more signs out there. In addition to reporting any signs that are stolen, to let people know that there's a lot of folks in this town that are very supportive, and that they don't accept the status quo, and they don't accept people stealing things. I think the group, the RMK was going to order, a young woman from RMK was going to order another 40 or 50 signs, Black Lives Matter signs. And as Karen said, there was a young woman who was willing to foot the bill for additional signs for Hate Has No Home. And I told Kelly that there's a limit of 100, but that was the group that we were buying from. The young woman who was doing the signs for Black Lives Matter said she may be able to get them from a different place and be able to order less. Because at $5 a shot, $500 is not insignificant. Particularly if one individual is going to front the cost and then hope they get reimbursed. So I'm not sure, Karen, did that young woman say that she was going to buy 100 signs, or just, I wasn't quite sure what.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the level of commitment was. I just know that it was a very generous offer to front that. But yeah, so the coordination now is kind of volume and then price, and that's kind of a separate email trail that's going on there. But I think you're right, Amy. I think that the focus will be on greater distribution of the signs, and folks who are interested in it and kind of thinking about a distribution path for that. And if the HRC can help support that. I remember last time, right, we were standing at Center School handing out signs, not that long ago. So if we need to help support that in any way, we'll bring that back to the committee by our next meeting.
I know they're ordering more of the We Believe signs by the end of the week.
Okay.
They were going to do the Black Lives Matter, I think, too.
Is that the same person?
Young woman in the car. It was in the car. Yeah.
Can you guys get me signs? Okay, you know where I live, Craig.
You got it, Amy. I can never find your house, but I know where you live.
But I know one of the people who did, and she was she had multiple signs stolen, and I'd love to put another one right in our neighborhood.
Absolutely. The other item you made a comment about statements. What are folks' thoughts about issuing a statement on this?
We could even just do another push to gauge interest in more signs, and ask for emails, and then see if we get any kind of response, and talk about purchasing more as a committee, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe this is where we leverage our ally list, right? And folks who are interested, if you're, there's going to be an ordering of signs. If you're interested, here's a Google sign-up sheet, and then we can help support the distribution potentially. That might be an opportunity as well.
Yeah, I just don't want to be presumptuous and offer signs that we can't that we are not purchasing though? Like, you guys are more involved, so you tell me what the message should be. I'd be glad to draft something, or if everybody agrees. But
So when I got my sign, there was a posting. I think we sent it out to everybody and the allies, or I don't know. It came from Liz, I think. And I just contacted this woman individually, and she, got a sign for me. So if we had the links to who to contact to get a sign for the various different signs, and then just say, that we're in support of. Somebody has to do the language, what you want this to say, but I'm happy to send it out to the allies.
somebody who was on that call are you on that? Is anyone on that chain? And do you have the information of who to contact to get signs?
Yes, yeah, I can run point on that, Amy,
Okay.
and I'll follow back up on kind of understanding the volume of signs that are being ordered, as well as what the distribution path would be.
Okay, to get more info, I can draft something and put it up.
Okay.
I think,
right.
Karen, that there may be, if I'm not mistaken, you can check with Liz, but I know there was money that had been donated previously for Hate Has No Home signs to the town of Easton. And I don't know if we ever used that money in the purchase of signs. So there may be money or some money that's still available through the town that could be added on to the generous donors gift in order to be able to cover the costs. So you might want to ask Liz about that.
Yeah, I can definitely follow up on that. Okay, I have those both down. The only other thing I was going to bring up was around that special meeting that I mentioned. So it was hosted by the Northampton Human Rights Commission. As I mentioned, it included various municipal human rights commissions across Mass. Towns that were represented included Cambridge, Medford, Melrose, Lynn, Belmont, Arlington, New Bedford. There was also a senator's office. Senator Jason Lewis's office was represented at the meeting to discuss the bill, the police reform legislation that's currently being reviewed. It was actually a very good conversation. Mostly just kind of spending time to kind of go around each of the human rights chairs or co-chairs or whoever was there to represent, kind of talking about the various initiatives that are underway or that they have done in the past, any of their current priorities, as well as, focus going into these coming months, primarily, especially considering the limitation of in-person events and then kind of movement towards virtual. So absolutely heard, again, focus around these listening sessions. The town of Belmont actually talked about working with their DA office, diversity staff, to come to committee meetings and discuss. They've been working with their school department to move forward a Teachers of Color and Their Allies initiative that they have in place. They talked about also books, looking at books at every educational level and starting to incorporate books about children of color. They have an anti-racism workshop that's going on in their high school, and they were helping to support that as well. Other folks talked about housing programs, affordable housing, and that kind of correlation with systemic racism and housing that's there, and thinking about ways to help support those efforts. It was a very enlightening conversation. I think that what was probably most exciting about the discussion is to have so many people interested in this work and dedicating kind of their time to this work and moving forward with all these various projects and initiatives. I thought it was a good experience for us to be participant in, and hoping that we have more forums like that going forward. And at the very least, just being able to kind of see folks virtually and making connections so that, you know, if we do have a question and wanted to kind of take a pulse from another human rights committee perspective, being able to start to build that network out a bit is also, I think, a very positive thing for us as well. So where we are established in 2016, right? Some of these human rights committees were established in the 1990s. So they have a lot of years of experience. Definitely some newer folks involved. I think Belmont might have mentioned that theirs, I'm sorry, maybe it was Melrose, mentioned theirs is newer. But there are definitely some that were very well established and have many years of experience kind of under their belt running a committee like this. So they also talked about, similar to us, where we have some challenges mobilizing, you know, just because of the fact that we have open meeting laws and you know, kind of have to adhere to certain guidelines, that they've been able to leverage these other committees, like for us, RMK, to be able to move forward initiatives in a much faster pace. So it definitely seems to be a best practice throughout many of these organizations as well. Any questions for me about the meeting or the conversation? All right. Any other topics folks wanted to bring up today?
I wanted to share, I sent an email right before the meeting. I talked to Liza, the awesome trainer that led a training session for personal best. She would be willing to donate her time, and when she's phenomenal, I'm so excited. She said we kind of talked about 3 hours worth of her time. So she gave us 2 options. One is it's the same workshop that I did, and it would be 3, hold on, cut it out, just leave it. It would be 3 distinct, like 3 one-off workshops that were geared towards families having tough conversations and conversations about race. And then the other one was a cumulative 3-part series. So I wanted to gauge everyone's interest. The pro of the first one, I think, is that we could have 3 distinct sets of people attend if it's successful. The other one is more in depth, but it would be the same people attending all 3 sessions, so we would reach fewer people. So I was just curious. I really hope that we can do it, because I got a lot out of it, and I think other people would too. So I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on the 2 options, and if we want to move forward with it. Oh, in September, I told her that we would probably meet and vote in August. She's really booked, but she said September things open up because she works a lot with schools and things are different. So she's remote now, and it's like less time consuming. So she has availability in September.
Are they both for families with kids? I thought maybe the second option was just for adults.
Yeah, I think it's geared more towards adults. It's almost more like, I don't want to say professional training, but yeah.
I kind of like the idea of having the kids one with the families, because that's different. All these groups are having all these adult discussions and adult, trainings and listening sessions, and it'd be kind of cool to have one that included the students, kids.
Amy, what would be the size of the group that would be ideal for a training like this? Would there be a limit from Liza's perspective about?
I don't know what her target would be, but I mean, I think when I did it, it was probably around 20 people, and it was great. I mean, people were actively participating.
And you attended the adult focused one or the family focused one?
The family focused one.
I see. Okay.
Amy, how does she advertise? How does the word get out? If for example, if Kathy's ideas, I think is a good one. How do you get families engaged?
I think we would be responsible for publicity, because she she publicizes through the organization. So like when I signed up for it, it was a communication from Personal Best Karate that I got. So we would have to do it. In this case, I would recommend that we reach out like to our partners, to the Y, to the library, to like social media, to whatever other forums we have.
I personally think it's a good idea. So
I also like the family option.
I love both ideas, but I am leaning on the family one too.
Agree.
I agree, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Is everybody okay if I respond to her, tell her what we think? I think that the other benefit of the family one is I know that we've tried to set up trainings in the past and we haven't had a huge response number wise. So if we do one and it's a small group, then maybe we only do one, you know what I mean? But, or we can ask her to do it in 3 months or something. It's not like this consecutive, like you're not committed to all three, you know, so we can do one and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think rolling with one first, before having to have, you know, families commit to a 3-part series probably would be a good start. At least that'll kind of get the feel of it and see if it's the right fit for folks. But I do think, I mean, I personally would be interested in it, so I'm sure other committee members might be as well. Amy, I feel like, you know, we'll definitely help to publicize, even, you know, just within our own networks.
Okay. So
I like the idea too, Amy, of aiming for the Old Colony Y and the library. I think those are good groups to try to rope into something like this.
What's the age level of the kids that they works best for?
it says, I think it says 9 and up.
Grade 5 and up.
What is it?
Grade 5 and up.
But my third grader attended and it was perfect.
Okay.
She's 9. Like, she got a lot out of it, I'll just say. So I swear I'm not like trying to sell for Liza. It was really that good.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to sign up.
Now, Amy, are we looking to keep this within Easton, or is this open to families, say, in other towns? So like if friends or family wanted to, you know, any thoughts on that?
That's a great question. I don't know. You know, I'm assuming like our target is the town, but I don't think we would want to exclude anyone who's interested.
Well, if it's only 20 people, that's not very big. I guess you need to figure out how many people she can accommodate.
Yep.
So is it 20 people or 20 families? Like, is it?
Yeah, mine was probably 15 to 20 families.
Okay.
Like I counted us as one.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in one square on Zoom, you know, but there were 4 of us. So.
Got it.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
you
say,
did it
we
on
took up 5
Zoom.
spots.
What? 2 questions at once. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
I said you did it on Zoom. So you've experienced the whole thing on Zoom as it would be delivered to everybody. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And is it 1 session or 3 sessions?
So I think we're leaning towards the 1 session.
Okay, it's just 1 session and then maybe if there's interest having more. Okay.
I think we probably should just do, we could advertise it as limited. There's limited people, attendees, and then just open it up first to Easton, and then maybe a week later we could check how many people have registered, and then maybe open it up to other towns.
Yeah, or even open it up until we reach whatever. Like I'll try to like figure out all the details with Liza. What is her target number? What does she feel comfortable with? What works? We get there, and if there's another 20 people who want to do it, then we do another session. You know, that's also an option.
All right, sounds like a go. And I don't think you're gonna need to make any like major decisions, Amy, but should we vote that Amy can kind of move forward with coordinating and being able to even choose a date?
I'll reach
Sure.
out to her. My priorities will be how many people can she host? Well, first of all, are we still good to go? How many people will she host in each session? What dates work for her? And I'll reach out. Any other questions we talked about today? I'll try to get answers for those, get some options for next steps, and run it by everybody.
Okay.
And I'll just send an email.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. So the next thing is our next meeting date. Tuesday, September 1st at 6:30. How does that look for people?
I have a recreation committee meeting that night. But not because of me. I just can't be here.
I'm just thinking the 8th is the day after the holiday, so I don't know if that's going to work for folks. And then the week after that starts school.
Tuesday, the 1st looks like the best one.
That sounds good.
For me.
Fine, yeah.
When do we do our calendar for the year?
I'll check with Liz on that and get back.
I think we
to
did
her.
it in August last year. That's why I
We
asked.
did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because I did the minutes, I know that we kind of said that things are really up in the air, so it's hard to plan, but yeah, we should plan according to the way things are, maybe sometime soon.
Okay.
Okay,
So if we
our
aim for
next meeting.
September, if we aim for September 1st, that'll be good because then we can also connect with Amy on timing for the training that's going to happen in the month of September, and we can also talk about how we can help, support the marketing of that event. So the earlier in the month, I think, would be great. I'm sorry, Michelle. All right, checking to see, I don't think we have any public participation for this meeting. And I think that's it, unless there's any other topics folks wanted to cover today. Okay, I think I say something like motion to adjourn.
That's what you say.
All right.
Did somebody second it?
Oh yeah,
second.
lots of people second and third.
All right, good.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:41 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Stay safe,
Thanks,
stay safe,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Joe.